Ladies and gentlemen, as we grow older, life becomes about peace, clarity, and the relationships that truly matter. But let me tell you something, not everyone who sits at your table deserves a seat. Yes, even family. Because age doesn't automatically bring wisdom to everyone, it only reveals who people truly are. There are 5 types of people you must avoid in old age. The first is the complainer. These folks, they find a problem for every solution. They drain your energy, turn every good moment into gloom, and keep you anchored in negativity. Life's too short to carry someone else's storm when you're chasing sunshine. Complainers are the kind of people who can turn even the brightest day into a shadowy haze. They are never satisfied, always finding fault with the world around them. They dwell on what's wrong, ignoring what's right, and their negativity becomes a contagious force that seeps into your spirit if you let it. As we age, life should be about seeking peace, cherishing moments, and enjoying the wisdom we've gained over the years. But complainers have a way of disrupting that tranquility, bringing unnecessary stress and discord into your life. They aren't just pointing out problems, they're amplifying them, creating drama where there doesn't need to be any. Being around a complainer is exhausting. Their constant need to focus on the negatives pulls your attention away from the positives. If you tell them about something you're excited about, they'll find a way to diminish it. Mention your plans for a vacation, and they'll talk about all the things that could go wrong. Share a memory of a special moment, and they'll remind you of the challenges that surrounded it. It's as if they carry a dark cloud with them, ready to rain on your parade whenever they get the chance. Over time, their perspective can start to weigh heavily on you, making you question your own optimism and joy. What makes complainers particularly harmful as you grow older is that their energy runs counter to what you need most. Aging is a time for reflection, gratitude, and savoring life's small pleasures. It's a period when you want to surround yourself with people who make you feel alive, not those who drag you down with their perpetual dissatisfaction. Complainers can make it feel like you're stuck in a cycle of problems, even when you're not. They have a way of turning every conversation into a session about what's wrong, rarely offering solutions or hope. Their focus on the negative can also skew your own perspective. Spending too much time with complainers may lead you to start seeing the world through their lens. Their constant grumbling can make you doubt your decisions, question your happiness, or overlook the blessings in your life. It's subtle at first, a small complaint here, a negative remark there, but it builds over time, shaping how you think and feel. That's why it's so important to recognize the influence they have on your mental and emotional well-being. Complainers often don't realize the impact of their behavior. They may see themselves as merely venting or being realistic, but there's a difference between acknowledging life's challenges and dwelling on them. Life is far from perfect, but focusing exclusively on its imperfections does nothing to improve it. Complainers often fail to take responsibility for their perspective. They don't see that their negativity is a choice, one that affects not just them, but everyone around them. One of the challenges of dealing with complainers is that they can be difficult to avoid, especially if they're close to you. They might be lifelong friends, family members, or people you've known for years. You may feel a sense of obligation to stay connected to them, even as their negativity takes a toll on your peace of mind. But it's important to understand that protecting your emotional health isn't selfish, it's necessary. You can still care for people without letting their complaints dominate your life. Sometimes complainers use their negativity as a way to bond. They might think that sharing grievances brings you closer together, but this kind of bonding is toxic. It creates a dynamic where negativity becomes the default language of your relationship. Instead of lifting each other up, you're dragged into a spiral of dissatisfaction. This isn't the kind of connection that brings joy or fulfillment, especially in your later years when every moment matters more. The truth is, complainers often have their own unresolved issues that they project onto others. Their constant focus on the negative might be a reflection of their own frustrations, disappointments, or insecurities. While it's important to have compassion for their struggles, it doesn't mean you should absorb their negativity. You are not responsible for fixing their outlook on life. What you can do is set boundaries that protect your peace and well-being. One way to manage complainers is to gently steer conversations in a more positive direction. If they start to complain about something, try redirecting the focus to a solution or a more optimistic perspective. For example, if they're griping about the weather, you might say something like, "Yes, it's rainy, but I love how fresh the air smells afterward." This approach doesn't invalidate their feelings, but it also doesn't let their negativity dominate the conversation. Another strategy is to limit your exposure to complainers. If someone consistently brings negativity into your life, consider spending less time with them or creating some distance. This doesn't mean cutting them off entirely, but rather prioritizing relationships that uplift and energize you. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive people can make a world of difference in how you feel and view life. It's also worth examining why you might feel compelled to tolerate a complainer's negativity. Do you feel guilty about stepping back? Are you worried about how they'll react? Understanding your own motivations can help you make more intentional choices about how you engage with them. Remember, your well-being is just as important as theirs, if not more so. As you navigate your relationships, keep in mind that it's okay to prioritize your happiness and peace of mind. Complainers might not understand your need for space, and that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing what's best for you. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries and support your efforts to create a positive, fulfilling life. Ultimately, life is too short to let complainers steal your joy. Every moment is precious, especially as you grow older and reflect on the journey you've traveled. Surround yourself with people who remind you of the beauty in life, who encourage you to celebrate the good, and who share your commitment to living with gratitude and purpose. Manipulators are some of the most draining and damaging people to have in your life, especially as you grow older. These individuals use deception, guilt, and emotional control to get what they want, often at the expense of your well-being. They don't see relationships as mutual exchanges of respect and care. Instead, they see them as opportunities to bend others to their will. What makes manipulators particularly dangerous is their subtlety. They don't always show their true colors outright. Instead, they operate in ways that can be hard to spot until you're already caught in their web. One of the most common tactics of a manipulator is guilt tripping. They have an uncanny ability to make you feel bad for things that aren't your fault or even your responsibility. If you try to set a boundary, they'll act hurt, as if your choice to prioritize your well-being is an attack on them. They may say things like, "After everything I've done for you, how could you do this to me?" Or "I guess I just don't matter to you anymore." These statements are designed to make you second-guess yourself, to make you feel like you're in the wrong for trying to take care of yourself. Manipulators also excel at playing the victim. No matter the situation, they'll find a way to cast themselves as the one who's been wronged. This tactic is especially effective because it preys on your empathy and kindness. When you see someone suffering, your natural instinct is to want to help. Manipulators know this and use it to their advantage. They'll exaggerate their struggles or twist the facts to make it seem like they're always the one being mistreated. By doing this, they not only shift the focus onto themselves, but also divert attention away from their own bad behavior. Another hallmark of manipulation is the use of subtle threats or ultimatums. These don't always come in the form of overt demands. Instead, they might be framed as choices that leave you feeling like there's only one acceptable answer. For example, a manipulator might say, "If you really cared about me, you'd do this for me," or "I guess if you're too busy for me, I'll just handle it myself, even though it's really hard." These statements create a sense of obligation, making you feel like you have to comply to prove your love or loyalty. Manipulators are also masters of shifting blame. If you confront them about their behavior, they'll turn the tables and make it seem like you're the one at fault. They might accuse you of being too sensitive, overreacting, or misinterpreting their intentions. By doing this, they not only avoid taking responsibility for their actions, but also make you question your own perceptions. Over time, this can erode your confidence and make you more susceptible to their control. What makes manipulators particularly harmful in old age is that they often exploit the vulnerabilities that come with this stage of life. They may play on your fears of loneliness, dependence, or irrelevance, using these insecurities to tighten their grip on you. For example, they might imply that no one else will care for you the way they do, or that you owe them for sticking by you. These tactics are designed to make you feel like you have no choice but to tolerate their behavior. Manipulators often target those who are kind-hearted and empathetic because they know these traits make it harder for you to say no or walk away. They rely on your desire to maintain harmony and avoid conflict, using it to their advantage. But the more you give in to their demands, the more power you hand over to them. It becomes a cycle where their control grows stronger and your sense of independence diminishes. Recognizing manipulation can be challenging because it often disguises itself as care or concern. A manipulator might say they're only acting in your best interest, but their actions tell a different story. They might insist they know what's best for you, dismissing your thoughts and feelings in the process. This kind of behavior is not about care, it's about control. True care respects your autonomy and values your input, while manipulation seeks to undermine it. One of the most effective ways to deal with manipulators is to set clear and firm boundaries. This isn't easy, especially if you're dealing with someone who's skilled at making you feel guilty or obligated. But boundaries are essential for protecting your well-being. They send a message that you value yourself enough to demand respect in your relationships. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you don't care about the other person, it means you care about yourself too. When setting boundaries, it's important to be consistent. Manipulators will often test your limits to see if they can push past them. They might try to wear you down with repeated attempts or make you feel like you're being unreasonable. Stand firm in your decisions and don't let their persistence weaken your resolve. Remember, their reactions are not your responsibility. You have every right to prioritize your peace and happiness. It's also helpful to practice assertive communication when dealing with manipulators. This means expressing your thoughts and feelings in a clear, confident, and respectful way. Avoid being defensive or overly apologetic, as this can give the manipulator more room to maneuver. Instead, focus on stating your needs and expectations calmly and firmly. For example, you might say, "I understand you're upset, but I need to take care of myself right now," or "I'm not comfortable with this, and I'd appreciate it if we could find a different solution." Manipulators thrive on control, so taking back your power is one of the most effective ways to break free from their influence. This involves trusting your own judgment and refusing to let their tactics dictate your decisions. It also means surrounding yourself with supportive people who respect and uplift you. These individuals can provide the encouragement and perspective you need to stand strong against manipulation. Ultimately, dealing with manipulators requires both self-awareness and self-respect. It's about recognizing their tactics for what they are and refusing to let them define your worth or control your choices. You deserve relationships that are built on mutual respect, trust, and care, not manipulation. Critics are everywhere, and their voices often seem the loudest. These are the people who rarely have a kind word to say, who focus on your flaws and shortcomings while ignoring your achievements and growth. As you age, the impact of constant criticism can be even more profound because it targets not only what you do, but who you are. These critics aren't offering constructive feedback meant to help you improve, they're simply tearing you down. Their words linger, eroding your confidence and self-esteem over time, leaving you questioning your worth and abilities. What makes constant critics so harmful is their ability to undermine your sense of self. Their negative remarks aren't just about pointing out imperfections, they're about defining you by them. A critical person will find fault even in your successes, diminishing your accomplishments by focusing on minor mistakes or what you could have done differently. Over time, their constant nitpicking can make you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough. This is especially damaging as you grow older because it attacks the foundation of self-assurance you've spent years building. Critics often cloak their negativity in the guise of honesty or tough love. They'll say things like, "I'm just being truthful," or "You need to hear this for your own good." But there's a stark difference between honesty that is compassionate and criticism that is harsh. Constructive feedback focuses on growth and improvement, offering solutions and encouragement along with observations. On the other hand, constant criticism is rooted in judgment and negativity, offering no path forward, but instead pulling you backward into self-doubt. The motives behind constant criticism vary. Some critics project their insecurities onto others, using their words as a way to deflect attention from their own shortcomings. Others may feel threatened by your success or happiness, using criticism as a way to diminish you and elevate themselves. There are also those who genuinely don't realize the impact of their words, believing that they're helping when they're actually causing harm. Regardless of their motives, the result is the same. Their constant negativity takes a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. Being around critics can feel like walking on eggshells. You become hyper-aware of their potential judgments, trying to anticipate and avoid their disapproval. This can lead to a fear of making mistakes, stifling your creativity and willingness to take risks. You might find yourself second-guessing your decisions or holding back from pursuing opportunities because of the fear of being criticized. Over time, this stifling environment can rob you of your joy and sense of freedom, making life feel smaller and more constrained. One of the most insidious effects of constant criticism is that it can start to shape how you see yourself. When you hear negative comments repeatedly, it's easy to internalize them, even if you know they're not true. You might start to believe that you're not capable, that you're not enough, or that you're inherently flawed. This internalized criticism can become a voice in your head, echoing long after the critic has spoken, influencing how you think and feel about yourself. Dealing with constant critics requires a combination of self-awareness and resilience. The first step is recognizing their behavior for what it is and separating their opinions from your own sense of worth. Just because someone criticizes you doesn't mean their perspective is accurate or valid. Their words are a reflection of their own mindset, not a definitive statement about who you are. Understanding this can help you create a mental buffer between their negativity and your self-perception. It's also important to set boundaries with critics. If someone's constant negativity is affecting your well-being, you have every right to limit your interactions with them or to address their behavior directly. This doesn't have to be confrontational. It can be as simple as expressing how their comments make you feel and asking for more supportive communication. For example, you might say, "I appreciate your input, but I'd prefer if we focused on solutions rather than just pointing out problems." Setting boundaries is not about rejecting the person. It's about protecting yourself and fostering healthier relationships. Building a strong support system is another crucial step in countering the effects of constant criticism. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, who see your strengths and celebrate your successes. These positive influences can help reinforce your self-esteem and provide a counterbalance to the negativity of critics. When you're surrounded by supportive people, it's easier to dismiss the harsh words of others and stay grounded in your own sense of worth. Practicing self-compassion is also key. When faced with criticism, it's important to treat yourself with kindness and understanding rather than joining in on the negativity. Remind yourself of your achievements, your growth, and your inherent value. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes and has areas for improvement, but these do not define your worth. By cultivating a compassionate inner voice, you can resist the pull of self-doubt and maintain a healthier perspective on yourself. Another strategy for dealing with critics is to focus on their intentions versus their impact. Sometimes people don't realize how hurtful their words can be. If you believe their criticism comes from a place of care, you might choose to address it and help them understand how their approach affects you. On the other hand, if their negativity seems rooted in malice or insecurity, it's important to prioritize your own well-being and not let their words take root in your mind. Finally, remember that you have the power to choose whose opinions matter to you. Not everyone's perspective deserves a place in your heart and mind. You can acknowledge someone's criticism without accepting it as truth. By being selective about whose feedback you take to heart, you can protect your self-esteem and focus on the relationships that truly matter. This doesn't mean ignoring all feedback. Constructive criticism is valuable and can help you grow. But it does mean discerning between criticism that helps you and criticism that harms you. Negativity is one of the most toxic forces you can encounter, and negative people have a way of draining your energy, joy, and sense of purpose. These individuals are not simply having a bad day or facing challenges. They live in a mindset of constant pessimism, criticism, and complaint. They see the world through a lens of what's wrong, what's lacking, and what can't be done. And they have a tendency to spread that perspective to those around them. This makes them particularly harmful as you age, a time when peace, gratitude, and fulfillment should take center stage in your life. Negative people often have a knack for turning even the brightest moments into shadows. They might respond to good news with skepticism or a dismissive comment. If you share an accomplishment, they might downplay it or point out potential downsides. For example, if you tell them about a promotion, they might say, "That sounds stressful. Are you sure you can handle it? Or let's see how long that lasts over time." This kind of response can dampen your enthusiasm and make you hesitant to share your joys and successes. One of the most damaging traits of negative people is their tendency to magnify problems while minimizing solutions. They focus on obstacles and challenges, often exaggerating their impact and dismissing any potential for overcoming them. If you discuss a goal or aspiration, they might immediately point out all the reasons it won't work, creating doubt and discouragement. This can be particularly harmful in old age when self-confidence and motivation may already be more fragile. Their negativity can make you question your abilities and give up on dreams or pursuits that could bring you fulfillment and joy. Negative people also have a way of making themselves the center of attention, often by sharing their grievances and complaints. Their conversations are filled with what's wrong in their lives, in the world, or with other people. They rarely take responsibility for their problems, instead blaming circumstances, others, or bad luck. This creates an atmosphere of constant complaining, which can be emotionally exhausting for those around them. Listening to their negativity day after day can weigh heavily on your spirit, making it harder to focus on the positives in your own life. What makes negativity so contagious is its subtle but pervasive nature. You might not realize how much it's affecting you until you start to feel more anxious, irritable, or discouraged. Spending time with negative people can alter your own outlook, shifting your focus toward problems rather than possibilities. This doesn't mean you lack resilience or positivity. It's simply the impact of being exposed to constant pessimism and criticism. Protecting yourself from this influence is essential for maintaining your emotional and mental well-being. One of the most important steps in dealing with negative people is recognizing the patterns of their behavior. Pay attention to how you feel after interacting with them. Do you leave the conversation feeling drained, discouraged, or less hopeful? Are their words and actions consistently critical, dismissive, or focused on what's wrong? Identifying these patterns can help you understand the impact they're having on you and take steps to protect yourself. Setting boundaries is crucial when dealing with negativity. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting people out of your life, though in some cases that might be the healthiest choice. It means being intentional about how much time and energy you give to those who bring negativity into your life. You might limit the length of your conversations, change the subject when the discussion becomes overly negative, or choose not to engage with certain topics. Boundaries are not about rejecting others, they're about prioritizing your own well-being. Another effective strategy is to counter negativity with positivity. This doesn't mean trying to change or fix the negative person, as that's often beyond your control. Instead, focus on maintaining your own positive outlook and not letting their negativity take root in your mind. Surround yourself with people and activities that bring you joy and inspiration. Cultivate gratitude by focusing on the blessings in your life, no matter how small. By reinforcing your own positivity, you can create a buffer against the impact of negativity. It's also helpful to practice empathy and understanding when dealing with negative people. Often their negativity stems from unresolved pain, fear, or insecurity. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it can help you approach them with compassion rather than frustration or anger. Recognizing their struggles might allow you to engage with them in a way that's less emotionally taxing for you. However, empathy doesn't mean sacrificing your own well-being. It's important to strike a balance between understanding their perspective and maintaining your own peace. Self-care is another vital component of managing the effects of negativity. Taking time to recharge and nurture yourself can help you stay grounded and resilient. This might involve physical activities like exercise or relaxation techniques like meditation. It could also mean pursuing hobbies, spending time in nature, or connecting with positive and supportive people. Whatever self-care looks like for you, it's an essential practice for countering the draining effects of negativity. Sometimes distancing yourself from negative people is the healthiest choice you can make. This doesn't have to be a dramatic or confrontational decision. It can simply mean choosing to spend less time with them or creating space in your interactions. In cases where the negative person is a close family member or a longtime friend, this can be a difficult step. However, prioritizing your mental and emotional health is not selfish, it's necessary. Dealing with negative people often requires a combination of strategies. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, as every relationship and situation is unique. The key is to remain aware of how their behavior affects you and to take proactive steps to protect your well-being. Whether it's setting boundaries, practicing self-care, or choosing to distance yourself, your priority should always be maintaining your own peace and happiness. At its core, the impact of negativity is a reminder of the importance of surrounding yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. Relationships should add value to your life, not drain it. While it's impossible to avoid negativity entirely, you have the power to choose how much influence it has over your life. By recognizing the signs, setting boundaries, and nurturing your own positivity, you can create a life filled with joy, gratitude, and fulfillment.